Oh, wait, we're recording.
Oh, we're recording.
We're recording. Welcome to Paul Lawson Chats, a podcast for helpers. In each episode, we'll hear stories from folks from various companies and organizations who are making a real difference by bringing positive change and infusing radical good into their workplaces, communities, and world. Hey all, it's Paul. Today, I am joined by my dear friend, Melissa Doman.
Hey.
Let's see, author, organizational psychologist, former therapist, who is going to be joining us for the conference. We were just jamming.
Souls of mischief, man.
Hey, this
Clear
is good.
entry to mental health at work. You know,
I think so. You got to be grooving, right? I mean, it's good. Lord have mercy. How are you?
Great, because I'm talking to you.
Gosh.
Every time we talk, I'm like, did we just become best friends? You want to do karate in the garage? Like, full Step Brothers.
Oh, gosh.
Every
I
moment.
love it. We have a good time.
Yes.
So, we've spent a lot of time together over the last couple weeks. You were just up here in Columbus for your first time sauntering around Columbus, I believe you said.
Good use of the term sauntering.
I know. So, I mean, because you've done a lot of globetrotting in your days, and I feel like the fact that you just hit Columbus is like kind of surprising. Like,
you know, it hadn't been on my list. I had been to Cleveland, but not to Columbus, and it was like shockingly cute.
I'm glad you enjoyed it. Yeah, you hit some good spots. So for anybody in Columbus who's listening right now, we hit up Dublin. So you saw downtown Dublin. We had dinner at Bridge Park, Bridge Park is this cute little micro downtown. It's like the cutest little like you remember Micro Machines back in the day? Do you remember those toys? They're like tiny cars. You know, like you had like your Hot Wheels cars, which were bigger, and then Micro Machines were like tiny.
I was an erector set girl myself.
That's right. Yeah. Well, okay. So like to me, Bridge Park in Dublin is like the Micro Machine of cities. It's a tiny little downtown. Anyway, we had dinner there. And then your last day here, we went over to Easton and had coffee over there. So you got to see some cool little spots over here in Columbus.
With the best tour guide ever.
I tried, I tried to give you some good spots for you to hit up, and we had Jenny's ice cream.
Oh, never a bad day for Jenny's.
Oh, it's so good. It was great. And you were able to come and speak for our Blueprints for Wellbeing community, which, if y'all don't know what Blueprints for Wellbeing is, it is our community of the construction industry and blue-collar trades befriending and getting to know the well-being side of the world, and putting those two voices together. And so we bring people together to speak, and Melissa blessed us with an incredible fireside chat talking about mental health at work. And, and one of the things that I love that you do, and in like the mission that you're on, is embedding the topic of mental health into the workplace, which like, that's what we're trying to do. That's like, especially in trades like construction, where it's like, we're just now kind of getting the hang of this. I feel like the construction industry is where I was at the first time I had to like change my oil myself. And I had to go in and like talk to somebody at an AutoZone and be like, I don't know what I'm talking about right now. We're getting into it. We're getting there, and we're learning some new, grooves and new behaviors on how to take care of our workers and take care of our people. But for
new
you,
mechanisms.
And so, but you're just pouring your life into like trying to make our workplaces just more of a, we just talk about this stuff and it's normal. So what got you? I'll dive into the first question right now. Like, what got you into the work that you're in? What's your why?
So it's funny. I can take it back to an exact day.
Okay.
Where I was standing in my office. I was in group practice at the time. And I was looking out the window at this beautiful tree in front of my office because it was just helping me kind of decompress between clients. And all of my clients, the majority of my clients, had been saying that either their workplaces were torturing them or they felt like they couldn't talk about their mental health to anybody but me, like on the back end. And I was like, this is not the way. I'm treating clients in a broken system and a broken narrative. And doing, one session at a time, one small workshop at a time is not going to move the needle. This is not the way. And so I made a very difficult decision to leave clinical work, which after doing my master's, getting licensed, having alphabet soup after my name, that was a very hard decision. And I went to therapy myself to process that. And, it was really difficult. But then I transitioned into organizational psychology because I was like, let me make an impact at the source. And so I started out in very traditional, employee and leadership development, working around emotional intelligence, communication, constructive conflict, giving feedback. I still do that work. I love that work.
Right.
But anytime I would ever say the terms mental health, people would like proverbially hiss at me. I was like, what the F? Like, this is not a dirty
How
word.
dare you say those words?
Yeah, it was so weird. I was like, why? And so it just really bugged me. But then fast forward, we moved to London and I was on a people and leadership development contract. And they were like, hey, you used to do clinical psych. Could you do a mental health awareness campaign for us? I was like, yeah. And then normally internally, they would have like 12, 13, 15 people show up to these workshops. 75 people came.
Wow.
And I was like, okay, the market is telling me.
What an indicator.
Yeah. I was like, oh my God, are people actually ready?
Yeah.
And so from that point forward, I was like, okay, I understand I'm in this weird hybrid position where I went from the back end to the front end, from clinical to org psych. And I've wanted to do this, but it felt like people weren't ready. Like, can I finally? And so it just took off from there, from in 2018-ish, I'd say.
Yeah.
And it was always clear. But what I noticed is that I was part of this movement saying how important it was. But then no one was actually telling people how to actually have the conversation. And I was like, I'm getting annoyed that everybody keeps saying how important this is, and for like a whole variety of reasons, but no one's actually teaching the skill set.
Yeah.
So for me, the why then became 2 reasons.
Yeah.
It's not enough to tell people something is important. You got to show them how to do it. And then on top of that, like anybody else, I had had bad mental health at work experiences, and we spend so much of our weeks, our years, our lives at work. And I was like, I don't want people to have the same terrible experiences that so many people in my generation and before me had growing up, where they feel like they have to dehumanize themselves during the workday.
Yeah.
And to me, those are the 2 reasons. It's like this sense of like justice and logic, and also just being so tired of people delivering these like lofty ideas with no follow through.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I have so many things to say. It's so
say
good.
it all.
Oh my
Say it all, my
gosh.
friend.
So I love what you said. Like, you had that aha moment when you had a client that was seeing you, and she said, I feel like I can talk to you, but I don't feel like there's anybody that I can talk to at work.
Tons of clients. Tons of clients.
What and to me, that hits the nail on the head of this idea that this thing that we spend a giant bulk of our life, like a massive chunk of our life. So, if you break down, either a third to a half of our life is spent of our adult life is spent at work.
Yeah.
And if we can't have those kind of relationships and those kind of conversations in that part of our life, where else? Then we're hoping for the best about what that other third that we're spending at home.
Yeah.
And if we have time at the end of the, to me, the workplace should be a place where we are able to have these conversations.
Honestly, that's one of the things that inspired me when I lived in the UK is the UK and the EU take duty of care very seriously. very seriously. And that includes mental well-being, not
Yep.
just physical well-being. And
Sure.
that's something that the US could do better. It depends on the industry, the company, so many factors, but duty of care is really not taken the same way in the US. And that just really burns my ass. I really don't like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And so,
Well,
yeah, I was inspired by that when we lived there.
do you know over there, is it standardized, or are these companies just doing it because they know it, because they believe it's the right thing to do?
It's a complex answer. There are many companies that do it because it's the right thing to do. But also, there are a lot of protective laws in the UK and the EU about worker well-being, worker protections, worker health that just really don't exist in the US.
Right.
So it's partially ethical and partially compliant.
That's what I'm wondering, because it's like, in construction, we talk about like safety is you've got OSHA standards and guidelines that have to be met for compliance. Like, and do those standards save lives? Absolutely. Do companies and the workers that are enforcing those, do they believe in all of them? Not really, but they still got to follow them, or else they're going to get fined and it's going to be a mess. And it absolutely has saved lives in the long run. But my question is, and what I want to get at too, and what I find interesting with what you learned over in the UK is that for companies to not wait for some kind of thing to come along to standardize, like,
it's unfortunate. It's a different mindset. I even, for example, like when I talk to companies about the importance about having emergency mental health protocols, because they have other emergency protocols, and they're like, oh, and I was like, come on, like and so because we have all these other kinds of protocols, and I'm not trying to be a butthead or anything, but oh my God, like they have these preventative protocols for all these other things, and the fact that this wouldn't be included, especially in today's day and age, is beyond me. And unfortunately, the U.S. can be very reactive for lots of laws.
Oh, yes.
As opposed to preventative, although I wish it was different. But that is so baked in to the culture, and in other cases, it's not. So it's a very tough uphill battle. That's a mindset shift.
And I'm hoping that in the movement that we're in construction right now, and like you are a voice in this movement now. I mean, like we are now, especially here in Central Ohio, people know who you are now because of last week. And to me, part of it is convincing companies that this is the right thing to do from an altruistic standpoint, but also from a business standpoint. This is just
because it is.
It literally, it is a win-win in every shape
sense
and form,
this is not even just like altruistic. It's also not just business operations. It's also bottom line. It's liability. It's everything.
And there's nothing wrong with focusing on any one of those things. Like, I mean, if saving lives is like, one of those big pillars in this whole thing, but the byproduct of business and employee retention and workforce attraction and all of those things and recruiting. Sure, great. It's all good,
It is all good. And I think that it's okay to talk about all of it concurrently, because that's the problem I have with some of the folks who just do this like bleeding heart route. That's not how the world works.
Right.
It's not.
Yep.
And so that can be part of it.
It's not either or. I think it's both. I think you'd be able to like cast that net wide. If you feel if your heartstrings were tugged on this thing, great. If you are looking at it from a bottom line standpoint, great. It's all good. It's like get on board with it and don't wait for some government organization to come in and tell you to do this. You should just do this. And there's enough people that are putting out ideas on how to do it. Start listening, start reading this book that's back there I'm looking at on the wall, and I also happen to have in front of me called Yes, You Can Talk About Mental Health at Work, Here's Why, and How to Do It Really Well. And it's a fantastic book. And there's so many, my whole point is there's so many great resources that are out there, and your book included. And so here, I kind of want to bring that up a little bit too. Like in your book, you have all sorts of it's research, it's real, it's down to earth.
Thanks, man.
Conversation and guidance on how to really talk about mental health in the workplace. So talk to me about, for some of the organizations and groups that you've worked with that have implemented this, how has it gone after that taboo? I come from an industry that this is super taboo and there's still so much stigma.
Yeah.
It's softening. It's getting there. There's enough people that I think are helping to kind of go up again, start knocking down some of those walls of stigma. I think we're getting there. What have you learned for the companies that have implemented these ideas in your book? What have we learned? What works? How does it change their organization?
Well, I think that it's a very slow burn, and it really depends on if they're actually doing the work versus just having me come in and do a talk. And then they're like, okay, everybody, mental health is important. See ya.
Bye.
Bye. Because then you don't really see much of anything. I mean, even in those cases, you have all these people who start to open up, which is great, but then there's no system or structure to receive them post-event. And I always advise my clients, I go, listen, if you have me come in once and then you implement nothing else, you're actually going to create trouble for yourself, where you will then create a culture of resentment and checkboxism.
That's a word.
Checkboxitis.
Checkboxitis. May it be known. It is a real term.
May it be known. Checkboxitis.
Yes.
And, that's going to be even worse for you because you're going to dangle this in front of them and then you're not going to give it to them. So in those cases, and I always advise, I'm like, listen, this is not to get more money out of you. This is if you actually want to change the structures of support and conversations within your business. This is what's required. So in those cases, if they use me once and say goodbye, I go, all right, wish you best of luck.
Yeah.
But then in other cases, like with some of my star clients where like they are doing the work, they are implementing the education, they're changing their evaluation systems, they're changing the conversations they're having, they're changing the culture.
Yeah.
It's palpable where you see not only a change in what people are bringing up and how often, but also their preparedness to do something about it. Like, it's one thing to struggle with mental health. It's another to do something about it, because we're not just trying to create these conversations into an infinite abyss. We want the conversations to lead to self-management. And what I mean by that is getting help.
Yes.
Because that's what really bothers me is like a lot of these conversations, like open up. I go, yeah, but then what?
Right.
But then what?
Right.
Because it's so not complete in terms of that equation. So you see folks that, when they're doing this real change, not only are there changes in conversations, but changes in people using the employee assistance program, using their health insurance, taking their vacation, having less physical illness claims through their health insurance. What a novel idea.
Wow.
And it's that's what to me the change looks like, is not just the conversation, but then the follow-up actions for self-management.
It's got to be transformative. And to me, like what I've seen so far in the last couple of years of doing this work, like the conversation, you start with the conversation, but it has to switch over to action. Like it has to switch over to.
It's literally my tagline for that reason.
Which absolutely. I mean, it's and that's what we've seen, and that's what I've seen so far too. Is that when it is just like the one and done, and I tell clients and other folks this too. Like, if you just do the 45-minute presentation thing and you get awareness, right? But how is that going to impact the workers and their families? Like there's got to be this action step to it. There has to be this consistency. Do you find that too, even just like when we do the focus months, like a lot of companies will now just like, man, okay, we're going to do a hell of a mental health month, program. We're going to do this thing. We got a social media thing, blast and all that. And then June comes around. It's like,
I wish I could make a cricket noise, but I can't.
I'll add one in post.
No, it's
exactly.
something else.
Right. But do you feel like that's kind of part of it? Like, do you feel like sometimes we focus so much on these focus months and then we don't we miss out on the message? No, man, dude, this needs to 100%. Be consistent. We need 100%. Consistency around this. Yeah.
Unfortunately, some companies will do it to be seen to do it, as opposed to the companies that are more consistent are the ones who are doing the work outside of those months.
Right.
Because we need recency. Yeah. The recency effect tells us if it's not right in front of us, we're not really thinking about it.
Yep.
So it's really, it's not about like pushing it in people's faces, 365. It's about having consistency and intermittent touch points where even like once a month, once a quarter is better than slamming it all into May or on October 10th for World Mental Health Day.
Right.
Because I understand there are other focus points throughout the year. There's other concurrent initiatives that are really important. Absolutely. But when it comes to something like mental health and functioning, at a minimum, that should be quarterly. At a minimum. Yeah. Because it's talking about the organ that literally impacts everything you do and how you work and how you function and all these things. So I find that the companies that are the most successful are the ones who contact me outside of those months. And but consistency is hard for people in general.
Yeah.
Consistency takes discipline, takes effort, takes work.
Yeah.
We as humans don't naturally gravitate towards that because we're lazy.
Yeah.
Our brains are lazy.
Yeah.
Despite the fact that they're incredible organs and capable of incredible things.
Yeah. And to me, it's like when we relate, like in construction, we talk about like, do you care about psychological safety as much as you care about physical safety? And it's almost kind of like putting companies on the spot a little bit, like, yeah, I do, I care, I do. But the difference is like, well, the way that it's established right now is that like with physical safety, this is all it's standardized, and the people have to do it. It's like you're fined if you don't.
Look at Vivek Murthy when he put out the framework. I mean, it has to be standardized. Like not to put too silly of a pun, but it's a no-brainer.
That's good. That's good. I've got dad jokes and puns for.
Well, I'm married
days.
to a walking dad joke, and we don't even have kids.
Oh my gosh!
But I love him for it.
I love him for it too. Yeah, big fan. I'm fired up by the companies that I'm connected to right now that are going for it. They're really like that are like. They're taking out all. They're like, listen, we're not going to be held back by the stigma and the expectations of old, and we want to like really drive something new and be a part of this. And I'm so encouraged by that.
I'm not surprised because you're leading them, my dear. I've met you. I've hung out with you. I've had these conversations. Like, I don't think they would be motivated the same way by someone else.
I appreciate that.
It's the truth.
Receive that. Thank you.
Do I seem like a blowing smoke up the tush sort of person? No,
you don't.
And so I know that they're motivated by you, not just by need, because, oh my God, there is a need.
Yeah.
But I also think it's you. And, I've had some clients where I love when they do the work. I mean, I remember one of my star clients, legit, was an engineering company in Minnesota. We did like work for 2 years.
Yeah.
Actively together, and they were in it. And I just love being like a thought partner with them and like getting in there and re-educating. And it's an honor and a privilege.
Yeah. To
do that.
Well, I thank you. I thank you for the encouragement. That's really cool too that you've seen. I love that you've got this like group of folks that you can refer to around the country that are doing this, and like to me, it's just, I don't know. I'm just excited about what this all could look like. To all of us, we're all looking for purpose beyond a paycheck. I think we are. I think we're trying to find something And for us to just be inviting people into something that can, I think, change. It's our workplaces, but our families are impacted by it too. Our communities are impacted by it.
It's funny you mentioned that. When I think about purpose, I actually got really good training on like purpose-led work.
Yeah.
When I was working in the UK, and it was actually pretty inspiring for me because there's like life purpose, there's work purpose, there's lots of different shapes in that. And if you think about its connection to mental health, and also talking about purpose can be very community specific. It can be gender specific. It can be religion specific. And, I think that when you have circles with more conversations about mental health, you're more likely to have more conversations about purpose.
Yeah.
And I remember when I learned about the PERMA model from Martin Seligman. I think it was Martin Seligman. And it's, of course, I'm forgetting now the acronym.
You're good.
I know that P is for purpose.
Yes.
I forgot the E. R is relationships. M is for meaning. I think A is for autonomy, but obviously I'll check on the internet and be like, damn it, I got it wrong. But really, I think, like I said, conversations around mental health, you're more likely to see conversations around purpose because typically if you're in environments where conversations around mental health may be discouraged, deep conversations about purpose beyond concrete deliverables, you're maybe not likely to see as much either.
Yeah. And I've noticed that too. It feels like if I get out onto job sites and I talk to folks, I feel like the topic of purpose comes up so fast. It gets into it so fast. These folks, for being a high taboo, high stigma, industry that I'm in, man, you get out there and you give an inch and they'll take a mile telling their story.
That's so interesting. I never would have expected that.
You don't expect it. And that's what,
never.
To me, I almost, when folks talk about how high stigma construction is, yes, maybe in the past due to old expectations. But if you have somebody getting out there and driving the conversation and modeling the conversation and modeling vulnerability, folks start talking about what do they want to do with their life and what do they really and the grind that they've found themselves in, but really they want to do this with their life too, and they don't feel like they have time, and they get into that so fast. I find that fascinating.
That is fascinating, and I wonder at all if any, and please correct me if I'm wrong, I wonder if any of that is also driven in certain cases for some folks who have provider roles at home. Sure. Or in other cases, if there is a religious aspect to it for some people. In other cases, if there are cultural aspects to it as well. Because I always wonder all the inputs that go into that. Or for example, people who, let's say they ended up in the industry by accident or perchance. Yeah. And then when you end up in a path you didn't expect, it makes you more introspective. So I'm always wondering what the inputs are that are driving the attraction to talking about purpose.
I talk to folks. Some folks are lifers in construction. Their families from it. Their dad's from it. It's just it was an obvious thing for them to get into. I talk to other guys who are out in the field and they're like, yeah, I was doing this. I went to school for this and I couldn't cut it, or this thing happened or whatever. And then I ended up here. And they almost make it sound like it's sort of like a prison. Now they're kind of stuck in this industry where they are it's so far outside of what they originally wanted to do, but now they're in the trades and it's good money, but it's extremely hard work. And we talk about people work a third of their life at work, not construction workers. These guys go way over that.
It makes you reflect if you're ending up in a place that you weren't planning, and depending on whether or not you enjoy it.
Right.
And I find that when you said that they're quick to go into it, instantly my head was what are the inputs? What happened in their personal life? What influences have they had to make that come out? Because also in my experience, conversely to what I was saying before, if you're not talking about mental health, you may not be talking about purpose. Let's flip that on its head for a minute. In some cases, let's say if there is high stigma around anything psychologically sounding, in other cases, wanting to talk about purpose, which can feel less foreign,
Mm-hmm.
may come from a drive of desperate need to vocalize, to be able to talk about something that feels more accessible and
Yep.
more relatable
Yep.
when other topics are off limits. So it could be an inverse relationship in certain areas, like you just mentioned.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
We're picking it apart.
We're
picking it apart.
We're dissecting it, and I think it's fascinating. I do. I think it's interesting. I've got these such pure, awesome conversations with these guys out in the field, and
I love it.
I love when they step foot, when you like invite them into this world of advocacy. And I love this. My next episode's actually going to be with a foreman from the field. And he's going to tell his story and about how his life changed and like all this stuff turned around and how that has massively impacted his life, his family's life, and how he leads his crew. Like,
that'll be the next thing I listen to after your episode that I just heard with Cal Byer.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm glad. No, and I value.
I loved it.
That episode.
Loved it.
But to me, that's part of it, is just like highlighting these folks, and for him to model, for him to show, like in his story, hey, this old way of leading and the old way we used to function in construction, it doesn't have to be that way. It does not have to be that way. We can
He's
lead
the
with
OG
compassion.
in your industry. I love it.
Oh, yeah. And that's what I wanted. And that's another reason why I wanted to start this podcast, was to be able to focus on the field, and like get those, not just talk about those workers. I want to talk with those workers,
That's a good podcast name.
Maybe
Focus on the Field.
Focus on the Field. I think it's going to be like a sub episode where I'm going to figure it out. I think it's going to be like sub episodes of like Focus on the Field, where I'm going to like get guys out in the field and gals out in the field that are doing the work around advocacy. So I want to talk about book number 2. Can I talk about it a little bit?
Sure.
Am I allowed to?
Yes, we can. I'm actually going to be releasing, hopefully soon, the title and the cover.
Yeah. Oh. So I know a little bit about it, but I wanted to get some stuff out there because I want to like drive up the excitement around this. This book right here is now making the rounds in Columbus. I walked around Mid-City today, which is one of the contractors that I work with, and several of those folks were at that meeting that you were at last week, and I saw this book on their desk.
No, for real?
Yeah. So, yes, you can talk about mental health at work. Here's why and how to do it really well is making the rounds in Columbus right now.
All right.
This book, the first book that you wrote about just, normalizing, talking about mental health at work and showing how to do it and do it in a way that's safe and it has and impacts. Your second book is aimed at leaders.
Yes.
And talking about leaders' mental health, which is something that we don't talk a lot about. And I think this is incredibly important because in construction, we talk about the suicide rate and overdose death rate. We focus that on the field a lot, but we don't focus on the leaders. And I think that's not just in construction. That's in like so many other industries. We don't focus on
every industry
and their mental health. Exactly.
Every industry. I
did a little bit of digging to see our white collar in construction. They have a high suicide rate as well. If you break down the numbers. So to me, this book is timely. I am so excited to read it.
Thanks, man.
Give me kind of a run through of what you're going to be confronting and what you're going to be talking about in this book.
The term confronting is very accurate. The tone of the first book was very like informational and instructional. Like you've read it. You know the vibe.
Yep.
It was direct, it was a little funny, but mostly informational, instructional. This book is very confronting. It's how do I say this? It basically just takes this long-term narrative, really centered around the sociological assignment of power.
Okay.
And how leadership positions dehumanize the people in them. And that those people are supposed to make those they lead feel comfortable to talk about mental health, but that care is rarely, if ever, turned towards them. So I realized that this episode is also going to go on YouTube. So the hand signal I'm about to do, I'm going to do behind my other hand. So you don't have to hit the 18 plus.
Right.
But I hear this narrative and I'm like, this is what I think about it.
It's a certain digit on your hand is going up.
It's a middle digit that's going up. And I just, it's absurd. It's absurd.
Yeah.
Because they're the same species. Oh my God. And I'm sorry. I get very fiery.
No,
because
and good. It's good that you are.
Oh my God.
Yes.
And so I got the most amazing interview quotes from people from all sorts of industries, all sorts of levels of seniority, validating my hypothesis.
Yep.
And even some people I've talked to, which is really, really unfortunate, you know, because unfortunately, a lot of people in leadership positions do bad things. But we also have to wonder why. There are certain cases where they're just bad people. And in other cases, you wonder who molded them into that. And so I talked to some people when we were talking about, I was just saying leadership mental health is important. We ask a lot of them, so we also need to support their mental health. And this triggered the daylights out of this person, to which they started just ranting about all these leaders who have failed them, you know, ending in the thesis, and I quote, "I don't care how leaders are doing." And I said, "Oh, thank you for proving my point." So the book has two parts. It basically goes through, you know, how we got here and why we're still here.
Yeah.
And the second part is how we create change. So it really digs into like the history around, again, like the psychology and the sociological assignment of power and the assumptions we make about people in leadership positions around mental health, mental illness, stress, how, you know, we have all this incredible mental health data that leaders are supposed to execute on, but are invisible within.
Yes. Yeah.
And I'm just like, why is no one saying this? Like, I cannot be the only person. But there's other people. There's a few of us, but not many.
Yeah.
So it is very spicy. It's coming out in January of 2026.
It's right around the corner.
And right around the corner. It's currently still being written and finished. And I cannot wait for when it's finished. Not just because I'll be so excited for the final product, but to get my brain cells back and my executive functioning back to run my business.
I don't know what goes into writing a book. I know now you're on book 2, so you're like you've got this thing down. You know, I just don't. I'm excited to see this thing. I'm excited to read this. To me, I talked to company leaders in construction a lot, and man, the stress. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and it's a lot. And I remember, you know, when we did the Blueprints for Wellbeing event a couple weeks ago, and I started talking about this, and people in the room were like, "Amen, sister." And I was like, I'm hearing the market is telling me, just like for the need for this book, because especially now, like oh my God, there's a lot of leaders doing a lot of bad things. And so because those leaders who are doing bad things, other leaders who don't are also getting screwed. They shouldn't need to. They have power. They have more money. Like, and in certain cases, some of those people don't deserve care because they do terrible things.
Yeah.
But what about everybody else?
There's a stigma, even just against leadership in general, because
correct.
Of, like,
people don't like to be controlled and told what to do.
So many assumptions, right? Exactly. And I'm like, I know some of these leaders that, you know, like personally, and
they're good people.
These are good people that are just trying to take that. Either they have inherited a company from their family, or they've started a company themselves, and they are in the lead of this thing, and they just wanted, they either started this idea to that will benefit their community and make money while doing it, or they're carrying on their families, whatever their grandpa started or dad started, you know. And to me, it's just like, these are just, they're people, they're beating hearts.
Well, and power dynamics don't care about that.
Yeah.
And so I know what you mean, man. Like
Yeah.
I come from a family of business owners. I'm a business owner.
Yep.
And I
Likewise.
was even talking to my therapist about this. And you know, she's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a tough uh I guess you'd say tough client because I used to do the job.
Right. Right.
She's amazing. And I was talking to her about this concept and she like paused and was like, because she leads her practice of like 20 people. And she's like, no one ever asks how I'm doing.
Wow.
Because she leads the place. And I was like, I see you, girl. And I just, you know, I get one of two reactions when I talk to people about this.
Mm.
Oh my God, yes, please, can't wait. Or they recoil and they're like, I don't care
Why?
about how people in power are doing. Because if you think about like even just going back to the concept of like the alpha,
Yeah.
what eventually happens to an alpha from other groups in the herd? Or
Yeah.
not, or the pod, or the what, you know, all those synonyms.
Yeah.
Someone they follow with appeasement,
Mm-hmm.
also for protection.
Yeah.
They don't like it,
Yeah.
and then eventually people start clawing at the alpha because they don't like not having control. It doesn't feel good to not have control.
Yeah. Right.
Or so it's a natural thing that many people just don't like the feeling of other people having power over them. And that means not caring really how they're doing because they should know better, or they're fine because they don't have to do what I have to do.
It's like easy to dehumanize.
Yes.
You know,
The
it's
job title dehumanizes them. It's
yeah.
absurd. It's
Yeah.
absurd.
Mm.
And
Well, I'm
we are
hoping.
just animals. So sorry, I get really fiery.
No. The need is there. The need is there, absolutely, and I'm excited. And I think just the response that you got at Blueprints the other day was indicative right there that people are ready for the message. People need to hear it, and
I'm happy to
I
hear
think
that.
it's going to be a huge impact, especially in industries like construction, where leaders are man. The weights on their shoulders and the expectations there, it's insane. It's like how much can one person or one little group of people the expectations are just insane. It's crazy.
And it's just so tough out there, and I'm so tired of people with a certain type of job title not getting the same care. It's stupid.
Yep.
Stupid.
I agree. So excited for that. So January, you said that's where it's going to be
January
coming
of 26. Exact date is TBD, but
That's
it'll be
right.
January of 26.
I get it. Oh man. Okay. Well, we're going to be looking forward to that, and I'm just excited. Here's the thing. I think your message and your mission is so potent.
Ooh, I
the
love that
industry
word.
that I'm in.
Thank you, man.
And I think that's why it relates. I think that's why when you came in and spoke a couple weeks ago, folks lit up in the room, and they have not stopped talking about it.
Nuh-uh.
I pointed. That's how like,
Really?
they haven't stopped talking about it. They haven't stopped talking about it because I think it rings so true for them that it was cathartic. What was it? Greg in the front row was just like, this conversation has been penicillin for the soul. Do you remember when he said that?
Oh, that was so sweet.
So to me, can you offer up just a little bit of encouragement for the for blue collar trades and for the construction industry?
Yeah.
What do you see with the work that you're doing and the message that you're getting out there? What do you see the industry looking like, and industries like construction looking like 5 to 10 years from now?
Honestly, I see it going in a very good direction. I mean, this morning I literally did a fireside for a global manufacturing company.
Okay.
And then in a couple weeks, I'm going to be doing some stuff for a mining company. And it is happening.
Yeah.
And so I think that it really is going in the right direction. And you and I have talked about this, where it's a need born of necessity, because, you know, lots of industries have mental health struggles, but when it comes to construction and other parallel industries, it is urgent.
Yeah.
Because the rates of mental illness, substance abuse, suicide are horrendous at worst and alarming at best. And, I think that there is this desperation that is paired with hope
Mm-hmm.
to make it different and to just make it normal and not make it weird.
Yeah.
And so I think that really teaching people, yes, it's an uphill battle in industries like construction and other parallel industries. But what it really comes down to is it is healthy to talk about my mental health, and I'm not going to feel bad about that. That's the main message.
Mm-hmm.
It is healthy to talk about and ask help for my mental health. And I'm not going to feel bad about that. And that's a hard place to get to, but that's where it's going.
Mm-hmm.
And so I really love how folks like you and other folks in your industry and other industries are really taking the approach of mental health and how it's equal to physical health and psychological safety with physical safety, and really taking this approach of, you don't understand. We cannot avoid this and will not avoid this anymore. And so I think that drive and that passion is coming from both necessity of desperation and also, hope. That's the way I experience it.
I love it. That is the blueprints. When we were deciding on I think it's our vision statement is to normalize help seeking and help giving behavior in the construction industry, to make it just normal. This is just what we do.
Healthy, mature, adult.
Yeah.
I mean, it's because normal is even subjective in some cases, right? So I think that the way I talk about it, I'm like talking about my mental health as a healthy adult practice.
It's just, absolutely.
That's it.
Like this is just, this is, and it's, to me, the work that you're doing and the message that you're putting out there is just driving that point. And that's why I feel like it needs to be. I know that you're doing work in industries beyond blue collar trades, and you've, gosh, where do I even start of the workplaces and industries that you've tapped into and that have been impacted by your mission and message. But
you got to come move to Denver and just like be here so we could do this work together. Like, I'm sorry, Columbus. I'm sorry. I need to steal him. He's got to come here.
We love Denver.
Sorry.
Denver. We do.
I'm going to be selfish.
My other
Colorado needs you.
I know. My other hat that I have lying around here is the one that I got up in the oh gosh, what's the mountain? What are the mountain that you go to that you walk at?
We got a lot of mountains.
Great Bear Lake. I know. That's where we went. Rocky Mountain National Park is when we went. We hit up this gift store that was just up in the road, and I'm like, how do these people it's up in the mountains, and people just I asked the guy that was working in their little gift store, I was like, where do you live? And he's like, I actually live in a shack
between the bear and the rock,
like right down the hillside. And he was like, I used to work in the corporate world, and I wanted to get away from that. And
I don't blame him.
I run a gift store in the mountains of Colorado. And
I'm a recovering East Coaster. I'll never go back.
There you go. Okay, so you're of equal kin to this guy at this
never.
So where
there's not enough money you could pay me.
I know. Maybe we'll find ourselves out there. We don't know.
Hey, a girl can dream. A girl can manifest.
I appreciate you coming on today.
Oh, I wouldn't have missed it. I wouldn't have missed it.
Well, so you're going to be continuing to again get your message out and your mission out, and for as long as I'm going to be doing this work in this industry, I will be pulling you in because I think we need it. We got to normalize this thing and make it just like, and just hey, like, we've got so many companies haven't even gotten started yet, so we got to reach them too.
Listen, any opportunity for us to collaborate, whether you're pulling me in or I'm pulling you in, I just selfishly want to do this work with you, for the folks who are willing to have us, and I will keep annoyingly beating this drum for as long as people will listen. I haven't lost anybody yet, so.
Oh my gosh. Where can you be reached? Like, we've got, definitely everybody go and buy this book. buy it. Go on any place where that sells books. Where's a good place? I know Amazon, but like, where is there any?
Yeah, I'd say Amazon, Barnes and Noble.
Okay.
Those are the good places to get it.
Okay.
The most
pick up that book.
accessibly. Yeah.
And then be on the lookout for book number 2 coming out in January. But where else can we find you?
Well, my website is very difficult. It's melissadoman.com.
Oh, how much did you have to pay for that domain?
$20 on my soul. So
there was no other melissadoman.com.
No.
You're it.
I'm it.
That's awesome.
So yeah, melissadoman.com. Please add me on LinkedIn, on Instagram. It's at The Wandering Mel.
Okay.
And because I love to travel.
Yep.
And the ways that I'm helping companies are through strategic advising, keynotes, fireside interviews, workshops, team facilitations, offsites.
Yep.
So if you want me to, come in and F some stuff up about mental health in your company to create some change, please reach out. I would love to help.
I'll absolutely selfishly advocate for that as well. The fireside chats are what I've seen and interacted with you in. And I can tell you just from the response of the people in the room who listened to it, it was people's eyes were opened, and it was cathartic for them to just have a down-to-earth conversation about mental health. And that's
Thanks, man.
So, so for any of you guys listening, absolutely reach out to Melissa, bring her out to your company, bring her out for your guys' functions and programs, and get her book and get talking about mental health at work. Y'all, thank you so much for listening today, and we will catch you on the next episode of Paul Lawson Chats. See ya.